Has your favorite sports team ever lost a game because of a bad call? I have a solution today to fix the challenge problem, the non-call problem, the unchallengeable play problem. I have the solution right now. We're about to discuss it. As always, like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Let me know what you guys think about my rule proposal, because I think the NFL and NBA should implement it immediately. We all acknowledge that there is a human error factor to the game. That's the beauty of having real people as your referees, as your umpires, as your officials. If we acknowledge that there is a certain level of human error within the game, why is it that we don't allow ourselves to challenge any play or any call that could be messed up by human error? We acknowledge that human error is a part of the game, but for certain plays and for certain calls, we're allowed to challenge them, but for certain plays and certain calls, we aren't. It doesn't make sense. I say you allow NFL and NBA teams, no matter what point it is throughout the game, they can challenge any call, any rule, any non-call, any play that happens during a dead ball. The reason being, referees are the ones making all the decisions. We've seen mistakes all across the board on different parts of the field, on different parts of the court, different times of the game that have affected teams negatively in so many different instances. Hawks at Jaguars a couple years back. 4th and 9, play for the game. Seattle's down 6. This is their last chance to try and go down the field and get the game-winning touchdown to win the ball game. Russell Wilson drops back. He has a receiver about to break open in Paul Richardson in the slot, as well as Doug Baldwin on the outside. Paul Richardson, right before he breaks open, as the defensive back falls to the ground, he grabs Richardson and pulls him to the ground as well. The referees don't call it. They don't call defensive holding, which is an automatic first down. They don't call defensive pass interference, which would have been an automatic first down. Instead, they hold their whistle. Jacksonville gets the ball, and the Seahawks end up losing the game because of that non-call. Whereas, had this rule been in place, they could have challenged it just because it was a dead ball, and that call would have got reversed. Russell Wilson still would have had the ball with all the momentum in the world. They were making a comeback in that game. We were, and we would have gone down and we would have won that football game. You better believe it. That is one instance where, had we had this rule, it would have changed things. What about that NFC Championship game with the New Orleans Saints and the Los Angeles Rams? The Saints would have won that game. It was 3rd and 10 in opponent's territory. I believe they were at the 12-yard line. So if they get a first down, the game is over. The Rams are out of timeouts. It's a tie ball game. The Saints can just chew the clock and kick a field goal. What happens? Drew Brees drops back in the pocket, throws out to the right. Robey-Coleman goes over and doesn't even look for the football, makes no move at the ball, solely focuses on the wide receiver and hits him before the ball even gets there. The announcers of the game agreed that had Robey-Coleman just got his head around, he could have potentially had a pick 6. Instead, he goes after the wide receiver, doesn't make any play on the football, and it's a missed call. It cost the Saints an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. It was a guaranteed trip to the Super Bowl. Instead, they hit their field goal. The Rams go down tight. They go to overtime. The Rams end up winning that ball game because of a missed call in the end of regulation that could have been fixed by this solution. Lions versus Packers last year regular season. It was early in the year. The Lions were still 2-1-1 with an opportunity to beat Green Bay, their big brother, who's always been the big brother that they couldn't get over, and set a standard for the rest of the season back when the Lions were hot. Well, now they lose a game because 2 plays on the final drive, right? So first, there was a 3rd and 10 around the 50-yard line. Aaron Rodgers drops back, gets sacked for a loss of 12, so it would have been 4th and 22 in their own territory, having to give the ball back to Detroit, who already had a 2-point lead. Instead, there is a phantom hands to the face call for Trey Flowers, where allegedly he put his hands to the face of David Bakhtiari, but upon replay, it's very clear that he put his hand strictly on the shoulder and on the pads rather than the face mask, and Bakhtiari was back here doing all this to sell it, and he got the call. Well, that happened once again later on in the drive. 3rd and 4 in opponent's territory. They're in the red zone. Aaron Rodgers rolls out left, throws the ball, it's incomplete. Detroit is out of timeouts. The play is over. The Packers are going to kick a field goal, go up 1 point. Detroit's going to have an opportunity to go down the field and tie the game. Once again, they are bailed out by the officials, who give them a call on Trey Flowers against David Bakhtiari. Again, the same call that Flowers was just complaining about, as well as Matt Patricia. And the Packers have the ball. Detroit's out of timeouts. They're able to chew the clock and win the game just like that because of the fact that they had a phantom call that was bad and it's not challengeable. Why are these plays not challengeable? We acknowledge that human referees can mess up any play. Why don't we make them challengeable? The last game that I'm going to talk about was a regular season game between the Portland Trail Blazers playing at the Utah Jazz. Portland scrambling for playoff positioning, trying to get back in the playoff race. They had an opportunity to steal the game on the road after a back-to-back where they had a lead in the first half. Later on in the second half, Utah goes on a run. Portland still has a chance to win the ball game. Final 12 seconds of the game, Damian Lillard goes inside. The Blazers are down 2. He kisses the ball off the glass. It looks like it's going in, and Rudy Gobert blocks it after it bounces off the backboard. Goaltending, but it wasn't called. The Utah Jazz get the basketball. They shoot 2 free throws. They miss 1. The Blazers still have 1 more shot, but it's a prayer at that point. Portland ends up losing that ball game because of a missed call on a goaltending without getting any good reason at all. Listening to the press conference was probably the most entertaining part, but it still hurt me as a Blazers fan because Terry Stotts, Damian Lillard, and CJ McCollum were all peeved. They didn't try and defend or protect the referees at all. Damian Lillard had to be escorted off the court because of how angry he was. With playoff positioning on the line, a chance to make the postseason on the line, and he doesn't get the call, which was essentially an easy one. All of these rules could be fixed if you allow players or coaches to challenge plays no matter what play or what call it is, whether it's called or not. They're allowed to challenge it. And how it could work is like this. You're like, well, now it's going to take 4 or 5 hours to play a game of football, or 2 to 3 hours to play an NBA game, or even 4 hours. And what I would tell you to this is keep the same amount of challenges. We acknowledge that you can challenge certain plays. Why not acknowledge that you can challenge all the plays given the same restrictions? What if you challenge 2 plays in the game of football, you get them both right, you get a third? I say if you keep getting them right, you keep getting more challenges because you're clearly fixing a game. It's getting messed up right in front of your eyes. Why not allow teams to keep challenging it if they get it right? I think it's common sense to allow challenges on any single play in any sport, no matter what happens. As long as it's a dead ball, you should be able to challenge it because human error is a part of the game and we acknowledge that. Otherwise, we're just being ignorant. Let me know what you guys think about my solution in the comment section below. Do you think the NFL should allow you to challenge any play you want on a dead ball? Or do you think it should stay how it is and not allow you to challenge certain plays? As always, go Hawks.